For your arts and crafts, sometimes you'll need shells colored all the way through, because if you're going to sand the shell or cut through the shell, you want that color to go all the way through. Now with normal flowers and whatever you're going to make with those shells, those paint them whatever, because you're never going to cut into it. It's just going to be a display. So I'm going to show you how to color the shell all the way through so that it's ready for whatever craft you want, and then you don't have to paint it afterwards. Got some sandpaper here and an example of painted shells versus colored shells. Now you can see the resilience, or the shine on the painted shell versus the colored shell. Yeah, the dull look is the colored shells and the sheen is the painted shells. For what I do, I don't think it matters too much. But one thing that I like to show is that with the painted shell, if you cut into it, it leaves a mark on the sandpaper white because the shell itself is white, if you can see that. But then you take the colored shell, do the same thing, and it leaves red because the entire shell is red, colored all the way through. So let's show you how to do that. The first thing you need are your shells, your plethora of shells. Then you need an empty bottle. This one's a Gatorade bottle. And you fill the bottle up, not all the way, because these shells are actually going to expand. Have an easier way to put these in. Great. That's probably good enough. Then we take our industrial food grade food coloring. Now for this, I am going to put on some gloves because you never know if it'll spill. That's actually why I'm outside right now. Heaven forbid I get the carpet stained. That would not be good. And we just pour it in slowly because we don't want it to splash. Now, it's not quite above the shells, and that's okay. This stuff is so potent, so strong, that we're going to add a little bit of water. This is actually tap water, just reusing a bottle. But we'll put a little bit in. Oh, see, made a mess. Put some in there. Put the lid on. Shake it up a little bit. More mess. And we'll just top it off. Now we're going to put the lid on. Give it a little shake. And we're going to let that sit for a day or two. The shells are going to swell up. The coloring level is going to drop. And then we'll add a little more water. So now that we have it ready, it's just going to sit. And time's going to tell. The longer we let it sit, the more it absorbs the color and gets deeper penetration into the shells. If we wanted a lighter penetration, then we could take it out in 10 minutes and then rinse them, dry them, and have colored shells. However, I want this to go all the way through. So we're going to wait for several days. We're going to top it off with water as it absorbs. There is a debate as to whether the uh, process can be sped up by putting it into a vacuum chamber and pulling the air out of the shells. And yes, it can a little bit, but these shells are dense and those fibers need to loosen up. So even if you put it in a vacuum chamber, it's still going to have to soak for days. So the number of days is limited or reduced by maybe 1 or 2. So we're going to let it sit. We're going to wait. I'll check in with you next time I check it to add water. It's been 4 days since we put the shells in the color, and you can see that they have swelled up and are a little higher there. I could have topped it off with water and not had to worry about it, but I wanted to show how it expands. So what I want to do is shake it up, grab a couple shells, if we can pinch them, put them in the water to rinse them off. Whew. See, making a mess. Push them around a little bit, get them rinsed. Fish them out. Now we can see what it looks like inside. They're a little soft, not quite malleable yet, but I want to check to see if they're colored all the way through. That one pretty much is colored all the way through. Let's check the others. That one's colored all the way through, and this one. Wow, looks like it's colored all the way through in just 4 days. So now, I think I'm gonna give it another day just to soak it into the really thick ones, and then we'll get them rinsed. So top it off. Give it a good shake. Get it cleaned up. And we'll see you in a couple days. Okay, it's time to rinse these off and get them dried for our project. Now, I'm gonna do it in the inside so the water can go down the drain, because food coloring should not be put in the soil or on plants. It can cause damage. So it's recommended to put it down a sewer drain, not a storm drain or on soil. So we're gonna go to the kitchen sink and get these rinsed. We want to save as much of the coloring as possible. So I got a jar here and we'll get started. We could put them on the stove and heat them up, or put them in the oven and get them hot to help evaporate the water a lot quicker. But I'm just going to leave them on the table outside on the patio and wait a few days, or at least until they're dry. It's not been very long and you can already see the shells drying, so it's probably not going to take a terrible amount of time. But as they dry, you want to shuffle them around so they can dry evenly.